We are we are recording right now. Let me move that. All right. What's up, everybody? My name is Juwan Rohan, and this is the Misguided Podcast. We intend to guide you to a better future. I'm sitting here with Tirzah Monee, international brand strategist. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Good, good. Well, how's your Sunday? Is it busy already? It is what, 10 a.m. right now?
It is 10 a.m. and I've already had two support calls and client calls, so it's it's moving. We got a conference rolling, so
There you go. That's good. I mean, it's
yeah,
better to be busy than stale, So
100%.
facts. So let's go ahead and get into exactly, who you are. So if you want to start from, where are you from, and where you currently live?
So I was originally born in Berkeley, lived in Oakland for early childhood, and then moved to Stockton, and then went to college in Sacramento. So I always say like nothing is necessarily home.
Yeah, you're
Like
you're just you're
yeah,
a
I'm a
California
California
nat.
raised, like
Yeah.
California native, because
Yeah.
I like, hop in a car and I'm in any city in like within an hour. So it's pretty smooth.
Yeah, that's cool. Where what college did you go to in Sac?
The Art Institute.
Oh, okay. Nice. How'd
Yeah.
you like that?
I loved it. I actually ended up going back and teaching a few years like after getting my master's. So it
Yeah.
was a good time. I really loved the environment there.
Nice. What'd you get a degree in?
Web design and interactive media.
Oh, you
Yeah.
fancy. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I
That
can code.
yeah, that's crazy. You might I might need you to code some on my web pages, man. That's nice. Cool. So I guess we kind of just mentioned it a little bit, but what exactly do you do?
I'm a brand strategist and accountability coach. So I help people build out their systems, put their branding in place, and then, be able to scale and get PR. Like my background's kind of, um, it's all encompassing. So I have the tech side, I have a PR, like a background in PR, and a little bit that's like all the entrepreneurship side. So, getting people's systems in place is a huge aspect of that.
Yeah. So the PR side is interesting. I mean, every business, every small business needs PR. First of all, how do people find you, and how do you go about getting them marketing? What are like some first steps for you?
Yeah, so all of my clients go through my accountability program.
Okay.
I used to just sell websites, and what would
Yeah.
happen is people would get these websites, and a few years later they would be out of business, and then be like, okay, what's happening? Like, why are these small mom and pop stores going out of business? Um, because that's my portfolio. So then I was like, okay, let me go to business school, find out like why, like, what we need to do for marketing. So the next step was doing something that was more wraparound so that they could learn how to like do ads or,
Yeah.
work with influencers and all of that stuff. Um, I was finding that a lot of the smaller businesses were scared to like jump into like paying for ad spend, or like they couldn't see the ROI. Like they focus so much on cost that they don't think about ROI. And so the next round of like looking at the scenarios that I was seeing was, okay, like if they're not willing to pay for it, how can we get people to organically get traffic to their sites, to their business, to their brands, in ways where they don't have to spend money.
Mm.
So like I can say, even for like my own like accountability coaching business, I've worked with over 400 people in the last 2 years, just about 2 years, and like it was organic. Like we weren't running ads on the accountability coaching aspect itself. Like I've run ads for the events portion.
Hmm.
So like just being able to like use copy, use branding, use positioning, use strategic partnerships, all of those things, wrap into how I'm able to like, scale these businesses, or just putting the right operation systems in place. Like,
Yeah.
I had a notary client that came in and was like, making a couple of $100s a month, and we were able to scale him to $12,000 within like 3 months.
Shout out Malik.
Right.
Shout out
Yeah.
Malik.
So,
That's
yeah.
dope.
So it's all encompassing.
Cool. Well, shit. You're I guess you'll be the one that I hire for my notary. I'll take my test next week.
Okay,
So,
cool. I
yeah,
bet.
I already got the website up, but I might just send it to you and you fix it up for me. All right.
Okay, we can talk about it. I'm
Yeah.
always ready.
Nice, nice. Oh, and you're from the Bay, so we can actually sit down. Like it's been super. I've been doing business, I feel like virtually for like the last year and a half. You know what I mean? And it's cool and stuff. Like it's super easy to do these, but um, there's something about like human interaction when you're
Yeah.
doing business, like networking in person is so much better. And you can kind of like I was going to like networking events before COVID hit, and it's just something different than a Zoom networking. Like you can
Yeah.
really get a gist of a person in person. You know what I mean? So
100%. When we
yeah.
actually last year, I was planning before COVID hit. I was supposed to do a 6 city tour for YHC.
Okay.
We were supposed to take the brunches and everything, and like it just so happened that we were able to like flip that tour into like a digital, like package
Yeah.
it into like
Yeah.
the first of the digital events and stuff that were happening, and people were like, "This was so smooth," and I was like, "Bruh, like I was not doing Instagram."
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny.
You gotta know your place.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. Let's go ahead and talk about YHC. So that stands for Yes Honey Collective. What exactly is that?
So, Yes Honey Collective is my all-encompassing. I call it an auntie brand because
Okay.
you always have that one auntie that's like, "Yes, honey, like go." But it's a
Yeah.
place that you can walk in. You can get like a business coach. You can get like fitness coaches. You can get whatever type of coach it is that you need. That's there to support you in one community. So, like a lot of times when you come to different events, the speakers are off limits. And so one thing about us is we don't have like a whole VIP section or anything like that. Like our speakers signed a contract that basically says that they're going to be in the room and they're going to talk with you guys. And so you get access to people that you normally wouldn't have access to. We had people that were multimillionaires sitting next to people that, had just started their business 2 weeks ago. My sister was sitting next to people that were multimillionaires, and she's 15 years old, and she just could walk up to them and ask them questions or
Yeah.
talk to my international journalist friend. And so it's an accessible community where you can get access to so many different resources, but then also the accountability of knowing that they're watching you, like
Yeah.
from the jump. We had a young lady that walked over to us at the conference and was like, "Hey, I'm an aspiring brand strategist," and we're like, "No, you're a brand strategist. This is what it is." And since then, she's worked on like multiple projects with us. She's actually going to Bali with us for a retreat
Oh
that we're
wow.
doing,
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff. So we open up our network for the people that come and like engage with us. But you got to talk to us.
Yeah.
Like that's always the thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
getting them to talk.
That's super cool. Let's go ahead and talk about some guests that you've had up and like what they do and how do you reach out to these people?
Twitter. That's the easy answer. I like in terms of how we were able to put. I think we had like 15 or 16 speakers last year, and like over the course of 2018 to 2019, there was like the Black Tech Twitter movement that kind of happened
Have
where
you
a lot
gone
of
to
us.
that event in Oakland?
Afrotech? No, I haven't
No.
made it. I've seen it, like I've watched the
Yeah.
digital aspect, but I haven't actually physically been.
I hella wanted to go last year. Like
Yeah, I
that's
had tickets for it and everything.
oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah. But with that, when that movement happened, like I don't know if you're familiar with like Ari, like she used to be Nerd Nomad Mom on Twitter, but
Yeah.
there was a few of us that kind of kept in contact and stuff, and like over time I would group everyone together, people who had really great content, because I always had this vision. I've had this vision for YHC since 20. It's like it's been like an 8-year thing now, but I knew that it was going to be this place where you can come and get access to these coaches and things like that, but I didn't know where I was going to find them. They weren't in Sacramento. A lot of people in Sacramento are industry and they can't come to events physically. Like even for the conference last year, we only had 10 people from California that came to that conference. Everyone else flew from out of state.
That's wild.
It was
That's wild.
absurd because I've been having like these little small like pull together events
Yeah.
and stuff, and then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, we're having a conference, and we had this whole flood of people
Yeah.
that flew out, and like, you know, a lot of them were college students, a lot of them were people who had never been to a networking event before. They were you know, first generation. We
How
had
many
somebody that
people
was
are we
like
talking?
it wasn't like a massive event. I think we probably had like 70 or 80 people
What?
there.
That's
But to say that
hold on. You gotta stop. Yeah,
but
I
that
need
they
some like
flew.
bells or something. That's good.
Yeah,
Damn.
but it like to say that they flew and like came across the country and like came to Sacramento, because like a lot of people talk a lot of mess about little old Sacramento and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love my city. Like the
Yeah.
food is good, like the music is good, everything's free for you to hang out. It's not expensive. But anyway, it was like it was amazing. But going back to your question of like how I found them, it's I spent a lot of 2018, 2019 just giving out free information. I had a car accident and couldn't get out of bed for like, you know, almost a year.
Oh shit. I'm
And
sorry.
so I just tweeted out information to help people. And like what kept on happening, they're like, how do we help you? What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? How do we help? Like you give out so much. Like what is it that you need? I was like, I don't need anything, because I physically, the only thing that can save me right now is time. Like I just need time to heal. So I kept on saying no. And then finally I was like, I'm gonna do this event. Um, we all speak at it. And they're
Yeah.
like, say less. And so we had the guys of the Unconventional Wealth chat. They were some of the first people. Xavier and Deanna, the Millionaire Mindsets podcast, like those were some of my first clients as accountability, like, you know, accountability clients. So, you know, they actually lived pretty close to me in Sacramento. So we used to get together quite a bit. And like once I kind of had those two yeses, it got even easier to get all the rest of them. And so I
Yeah.
was like, this is where we put the yes in the yes,
Networking.
honey. I love this.
Networking. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
How'd you come up with the name?
um,
It does
yes,
sound like
honey.
an auntie phrase. Like, yes, honey. Like
Yeah. So the real story behind it is that originally when I went for my master's program, I was building a hair care app. And so like same energy, like you have that auntie that's always like
Yeah.
celebrating you and been like, yes, that's how, that's it.
Yeah.
um it was around that aspect. But when I finished school, I found out, like, you know, you kind of realize like, okay, I won all these awards. I you know, don't have a network because I've been in school for all this time. I don't have the resources to like build out this massive plan for this business that I was trying to do, not for Yes Honey Collective itself, but for the application that I was trying to do at the
Yeah.
time. And so I was just like, I'm keeping this branding. This is great branding. So I started a sunglasses company to start networking under the name Yes Honey by itself.
Oh,
And then all the
smart.
people, yeah, and then all the people that worked on the creative team. So the people that I was training as my brand ambassadors, the people that I was training as photographers that didn't want people to pay them, and I'm like, people need to be able to pay you. My former students at the college and all that stuff, they started coming to the workshop events where I'm telling them, okay, like you guys need to start charging for your work. Yeah, I need you guys to start getting paid as artists and things like that. And that became the collective, the body of the collective, and we did 9 brunch events like with that. So
That's crazy. You know, a lot of people just don't realize how important branding is. Like you really took the initiative to go create a sunglass company just so you can market and get that name out. You know, people see that name, they're like, oh yeah, sunglasses. Oh yeah, but now we also, you know, are holding conferences. You should come because we're going to teach you how to brand. That's just super creative. So let's go ahead and talk about, can you dive into how important branding is for a entrepreneur?
yeah, I think that a lot of people have a stigma that branding is just like a logo or what your website and all of that looks like. But branding is also every single impression that you leave on a person.
Mm,
Like the key, like the way that they used to like the true meaning of branding is to mark somebody's skin. So what impression are you leaving, like when you're walking into a conversation with somebody, when you walk into the room for the first time? Like just for like the example I love to give is that, you know, there's a lot of people that haven't ever met certain celebrities in their life in person, but you see them on TV, but you've never been in the same room with them.
Mm-hmm.
So the only impression that you have of them is through a lens of somebody else's camera from what direction they're shaping. So like any interaction that you have, you're leaving an impression. So for me, like one of the books that I love is The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success, and one of the laws in there is that you should always like leave people with a gift, or you should always like leave with more, like leave them with something, whether it's a flower, a compliment, or something like that. Like when I started Yes Honey Collective, it was that I built out like a bunch of freebies and stuff, and I kind of knew like what people, you know, needed and stuff because I was watching and listening, so that when I did have an interaction, I could be like, oh, I have an Instagram guide, go ahead, take this. Like, oh, I have like a Shopify guide, go ahead and take this and stuff. And like as people ask me more questions, I can just build up the guides even more. But you know, in terms of like, I just, more than anything, I want people to think of branding as the conversations that you're having, the conversations that you refuse to have. Like the way that you move into your content, the way that you move out of your content, the way you prepare for things, like the way that you do, like the phrase, like the way that you do anything is the way that you do everything, like is something that, you know, I think holds true in terms of branding. So if somebody sees the first impression of you and it's poor, then that's like, that could be the only one.
Yeah, no.
And
100%.
With working in a digital world, like, you know, for us as developers, like, or when I was like, you know, mainly working in development, we had three seconds to make an impression on somebody. Get them the information that they need, let them know that we're useful.
How important is that elevator pitch for people? Because you never know when that that elevator pitch will be needed. You know, you can run into someone at the grocery store and not be prepared for your full presentation. How important is that elevator pitch?
Extremely. And I don't even like, elevator pitches are too long. So the standard, like people will say like 1 minute and stuff, like,
oh, that's way too long. I think it's like 30 seconds.
Yeah, people like even 30 seconds sometimes gets too long sometimes. And so I always say, like, you can usually like have a few different ones ready.
It's all situational, because like you're not gonna pull the same elevator pitch that you would at a grocery store, as opposed to, I don't know, you're playing basketball together on a court. You know, sometimes you don't have that time to get out everything you want. So what would be a good 15-second like pitch for someone pitching their business? And let's say a situation would be they're walking on a street and they see someone familiar that they've been wanting to have speak at your conference. What would be like a quick pitch that you would, you know?
Like something simple is like, hey, like they'll be like, hey, like, how you been? I haven't seen you in a while. It's like, oh, I've been good. Like, what have you been up to? Well, you know, actually, I'm planning a conference and stuff over. I'm looking for speakers and stuff, but like, you know, I have 14 of them, but I need 2 more. If you know anybody that has this and this and stuff, let me know, because I know your network is pretty open.
Yeah. Okay.
And just that simple.
Yeah. Give them your card, or if they probably already have your number, but nice. So it's just sometimes it's getting to the point without being rude, you know? It's like,
or just being honest about what you want.
Like it's just about being honest, but it's also like, I feel like some pitches can go bad when you just only ask for something. So I like, when I'm pitching or when I'm like networking with someone, I'm like, all right, well, how can I help you? You know what I mean? Like, hey, Tirzah, how can I help you promote Yes Honey Collective? What can I do for you? Because, you know, I want to attend the event. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think those can go a long way.
It's a delicate balance with that. So I've seen where that's worked and stuff, but like with the people that are like, with people who get asked that a lot, it puts the pressure on them to figure out what their need is and what your use is. Versus if you come in specifically and say, hey, like, I noticed, so like, then this happens to me every time we get ready to have an event. I have people that come on and say like, hey, do you happen to need a project manager? hey, do you need somebody to run this already? And like it's a very like then I don't have to figure out what it is that you do out of the 11,000 people that
That
follow me.
asked, yeah.
Yeah. And I know where to place you and say like, okay, like maybe I have room for you to be on my team for this thing, but like that might not be ready yet. But I can say like, okay, well, we're not ready for that this month, but next month I can onboard you for this.
Yeah.
So just takes the pressure off. Like I like if I'm in a place where I'm even in the realm of asking somebody something, I've probably given them something 3 times before I even ask once. That's
Yeah.
the other thing. Yeah, if it's just a part of your nature, like that's the big thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, damn. I mean, you got a big event next month, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of want to talk about the progression of your events. Um, when was your first one and where was it? And then kind of like explain how you progressed. You know, how many people showed up to the first one? And we just talked about Sacramento, which was a huge success for you, about 70 people. How many people are you expecting in April in Atlanta? You know, let's talk about your progression from start to finish.
Yeah, so
Not
the very
finish.
first the long live the collective.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah.
um the very first event, I think we had about maybe like 15 people or so, and
Yeah.
a lot of them were like my students, some of my former teachers, my colleagues and things like that from the community in Sacramento. And then it was like the next one got smaller, and then the next one got smaller, and I was like, whoa, what's happening? Okay, maybe I shouldn't do this, it's not working anymore, right? But the first time energy always like gives you like a big burst, and then it slims down for a second, because those are the people that just want to support you, right, when you
Hmm.
have that first group. When I knew it was working was the fourth one,
Hmm.
and that one I knew was working because none of them were my friends from my immediate, like
Oh,
not people I went to school with. They weren't people that I
damn.
knew from down the street or anything like that. It was five,
Yeah.
it was only 5 people, but those 5 people had a reach of over 20,000 people
Woo.
for those 5 people. And
Yeah.
so that one I believe was the personal branding brunch. And that was like, that was one of the first ones that I think that was actually the first one Xavier Indiana came out to, and like a couple other people. But 3 people were from Twitter and 2 were from Instagram. And I was just like, wow, okay, this is real, this is
That's
happening.
dope.
And then the next event was 30 people. And they
That's
had
dope.
came out of people had flown out of state in order to come.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah. Um, yeah. So this next one, we're looking at, because of COVID restrictions, we're looking at around 75 people. So, and we got some celebrity guests that are coming in. So like, if people don't get their tickets, they don't get their tickets.
Yeah.
Like when they're gone, they're gone. But I'm
Are
super
you
excited.
allowed to share the guests or no? Not yet.
I can't share who the celebrity is quite yet. But it'll be announced pretty soon.
Nice. That's dope. That's dope. How so let's talk about that. Getting together a concert is just crazy. There's so much that goes into it. Picking a venue, if you're providing food, you know, seats, handling the tickets, marketing, right? Branding. Uh, I know you have a team. Like, how are you doing all of this? And how is your team? How'd you build your team? Like, how is this? How are you making this possible?
I did last year for the core team. I had one assistant, and then I had some, like, somebody who went to college with me that did the set design, and then my mom and dad actually did the catering, and my mom did the decor.
Hey, yeah,
So yeah, like my parents have a catering company called Cali Bama Barbecue, and then my mother, she's done like wedding and event decor for like
okay,
years. So
cool.
that was how that worked out. But like this year we had so many more people that have come and wanted to be a part of it. So now it's like they just come like and ask like,
Yeah,
can I do PR? I'm like, yes. Like, can
yeah.
I do this? I'm like, yes. I'm like, I will. I'm like, you guys, I write great recommendation letters and stuff. Like, I will co-sign for you to get like, into doors that you probably would have taken a little bit longer to get into and stuff like that. I look out for, I definitely pour into my people to make sure that they're set up, whether it's them getting training from me directly, which, you know, people pay a lot of money for,
Yeah.
or like whether it's like, you know, being able to get them set up with other people in my community that, you know, they're going to be able to leverage those contacts and do some really great things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Let's
I
talk.
incentivize them.
That's good. That's good. Let's talk about location. Atlanta. Why Atlanta? I mean, they haven't shut down COVID, so that's probably why. They just been partying it up all 2020.
There's no COVID in Atlanta.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's really what it is. Because I honestly, like, last year, that was one of the jokes at the conference. Like, people were actually shouting out, like, take it to the East Coast, and I was like, guys,
Yeah.
like, this was a lot here. But really, the COVID restrictions in California were a little too shaky for us to like plan something here. And we had already like, I had helped plan the Black Sea conference in Houston, so I gave the community the option between me doing it in Houston or Atlanta, because those were the two places open. And so they're like, let's do Atlanta because we just did Houston. I'm like, okay, well, fine.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Nice. At least you ran it through, you know, most of the people who will be attending. That's great leadership right there from you.
Yeah.
Cool. Are you planning to kind of expand, or are you going to do like one conference a year, or what's kind of the goal for Yes Honey Collective?
Yeah, so Yes Honey Collectives, like, our core conference will probably only stay once a year.
Okay.
We will have like some, I'm working on eventually having our own retreats.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
right now we partner with Luxotic, and so they're an awesome retreat company, Black owned, women ran, and so we work with them on a lot of them right now, and so we're looking to co-brand with them on some of them for YHC. But that's one aspect. But then the other thing is, like, there are like other Yes Honey Collective produced events. So like the Black Seat Summit's one of them. We're actually getting ready to do a fitness and health conference in November too. So like there'll be more information about those rolling out. But there will be a series of different like events that are kind of tied together with the Yes Honey Collective community.
Yeah.
That will be promoting too.
Yeah. It's just kind of like co-branding. You're helping someone else out and using your skills, and then you're also, it's part of your community as well. So that's super cool. A lot of people need to collaborate more and not be afraid to help other people, but also not use other people, but, you know, use their skills. A lot of people, we talk about it all the time on here, but are scared to outsource. So
Right.
and I think that's super important. Like you know, your time is crucial. You're over here like, yeah, you want to help with this? You want to help with this? I'll write recommendation letters, but I just don't have the time to do everything. But if you want to help, you know what I mean? Like, that's amazing. So that's super cool. Well, damn, I wish you the best on all this. And I definitely want to attend, you know, shit, every year or whatever I can do. It sounds so exciting.
We got a whole media lab we're putting together. So if you get involved, we can talk.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Let's well, a lot of our audience, you know, they're entrepreneurs, or they're thinking about starting a business, or they have a side hustle. And they're just trying to find ways to make money and build generational wealth. So for you, how are you, you know, building that generational wealth? Are you investing in anything? Do you have your money elsewhere besides Yes Honey Collective?
Yeah, I have stocks and, like, you know, a Roth IRA and like that stuff, like, kind of all set aside on autopilot, because like I'm one of those people who I just need to like not look at it and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
do you have someone manage it or anything for you?
Yeah, it's like all like just in the system and stuff, and then I have like M1 pies and things like that. So I have some tech pies and things like that in M1.
Nice. What are you like fully self-employed?
Yeah.
Okay, that's congrats.
Thank you.
So did you work before this with like a company or anything?
Yeah, so I prior to Yes Honey Collective, I worked at the Art Institute first and stuff, like just as a student worker. They pushed me over for me to go and work in agencies. So I was like 19 years old working on a bunch of tourism sites and
Okay.
like tourism bureaus. A lot of like, Sac State was like our clients and things like that. And like got offered that company at like 22, like was like no.
Yeah.
and then went over to a e-commerce company where I got to like work with like see how a multi-million-dollar like company was ran from the inside out. So like I specialized in e-commerce
Yeah.
development, and worked on Salesforce systems and things like that. And so that was like my last job before I was like, okay, I'm done.
That's super cool. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have the goals to be self-employed, but don't realize how hard it is. Um, Especially through shit when you when you're in COVID. So the unexpected. A lot of people don't plan for the unexpected. Um, so that's
Very
good.
true.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I want to move on to we have a segment called Hella Misguided segment. Where you're gonna kind of give like a summary of a letter you would write to your work. It's usually 18-year-olds, but today we're gonna do like 16 because I feel like 16 is like when you kind of start to think about the future a little bit
Mhm.
in a better spot. So what's like a little summary you'd write a letter to your 16-year-old self of like what you know now to kind of motivate them
Um,
and guide
I
them.
would, yeah. I would say more than anything, don't be afraid to take up space and come as you. Like I think that I like just growing up, like I was the board member's kid that always was trying to be that one that kind of fit in the room with all the adults and be quiet, don't say too much and like all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
I learned a lot because I was just soaking all of that in. But when it became time for me to speak, I always held back
Mhm.
because I'm so used to like, being told, oh, like you're too young or like you're like, you're naive or whatever those things were and stuff. Like I got fearful of taking up space. So I would say more than anything is listen first, but then plant your feet and speak.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Listen first and then plant your feet and speak. I'm writing that down.
But the
um,
listen first is important. Because
yeah.
like no people don't respect your opinion until they know that you've like taken in consideration. So like the best example of this is like a few years ago I was developing a national program for the Art Institute, and I was with people who have been teaching for over 20 years. I spent the whole entire first day just listening to like their perspective, their dispositions, the things that they saw, the horror stories and all of that stuff. And then the second day, they're like, what are you like, what we want to hear you talk. And like I had to figure out why they thought I needed to be at the table in the first place.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
once I like, got the 360 view, it was like, oh, you need me to be here because I'm the only person that's been to the competing school. I'm the only person that has gone to the school that we're structuring this for. And I'm the only person that's worked in all the departments and stuff. Like a lot of times we don't know we're qualified because we're not listening. And we're sitting
Mm,
at the table because we're supposed to be there. So
mm.
I think that's huge.
Damn, that's good. I like that. It kind of like goes to like the fly on the wall, like a lot of people like a lot of like billionaires and millionaires say like they don't want to be the smartest person in the room, right? Because they want to consistently be learning. But whoever's sitting at that table, they want to learn and they're just listening. Like Mark Cuban says it all the time, but he reads like 5 hours a day, right? He's constantly learning from people who don't have as much money as him, but they have ideas. And so like I think it's important to continue to learn by listening, and you did exactly that in that situation. So that's great advice. Thank you. Cool. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. The way we like to wrap up the episode is with guided conclusion section, where I ask you one question that we haven't talked about before the episode. It could be anything funny, serious, or whatever. But today's question, we're gonna stick to the guiding yourself. What are some mistakes that you've could have avoided when starting Yes Honey Collective in the beginning?
um, I would not have filed my LLC in California.
Oh, preach. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Like
Yes.
it was like I knew that I had to do it to force
Yeah.
myself to treat it like a real business.
Yeah.
But then I was just like, did I do that? Like I'm like, I just didn't know who to ask. So
Man.
I would say that that was one thing. And then I think the other thing too is that I like, you know, I researched a lot in books. I researched a lot on the internet. I absorbed a ton, but I don't think that I reached up to enough people inside my like immediate network
Mm,
and stuff over. Like I you know, I had this mindset of I'm like, they don't care about what I'm doing outside of this place.
yeah.
But I literally was like the owner of my company sold skin store to Walgreens. Like I literally could have been picking his brain over lunch. And like, you know, it wasn't something where he was not an open person and things like that. But because I had this like this
They
mental
don't want to
block,
listen. Yeah.
yeah, or they just don't get me
Yeah.
that I didn't ask those questions or like sit down and just say, hey, like let's have lunch. I'd love to talk to you about this stuff. And it wasn't like he wasn't impressed with me from the jump from us being able to have conversations in the beginning. And so I would say not asking enough questions to the people that were in my immediate network, um, that LLC and stuff, which is funny because LLC Twitter is like always up in
Uh,
storms and stuff. And then I think the last thing is um, really waiting to get online. I so for me, because I was a web developer, I was always like packed with clients because I had a lot of people that were, you know, from the agency or knew me from all these different events that I used to volunteer at and things like that. So I was always like full in terms of clients.
mhm.
And so I was very fearful. And even now, I'm still getting used to having an online presence. I'm really good at it because I was the AOL kid and the MySpace kid and like all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, managed a lot of stuff for my parents' organizations and things like that. But actually like having a brand that I was putting myself in front of people. I think that I shied away from that for a long time, and that like I could have had like 100,000 followers right now and
Yeah.
stuff like that easy back then. But it was that it just didn't seem important to me
Yeah.
back then, and like I wish I would have started that community online sooner before I started launching a business, because now I know that hey, like you should grow your community first and then launch out to a community that's already existing versus trying to build it as you go.
There
So
you go.
that,
Yeah. Well
that would be
said.
one.
Well said. All right. Well, speaking of that, do you have a TikTok and do you promote on TikTok?
I have a TikTok, but it's just to stalk my clients.
Okay. You
My
can't say all that great stuff and then say you don't promote on TikTok, the number one platform. Come on, Tirzah.
it's not my spot. Twitter's my spot. That's where my money resides. Like, so that's the thing. You have to know your platforms for the way that you approach. Like, I am not a video person. Like, I do interviews like this, but it's something that like I know that when I do video work, I feel more comfortable when I'm in studios and things like that because that's what I'm
Then
like
outsource
production
it.
wise. What do you
Outsource it.
say?
Then outsource it.
I
Right?
could at some point I will. Not quite there yet,
Okay.
but right now I'm
Hey,
like right now I'm actually supporting Instagram finally because I was very anti Instagram for a long time. Like
I'm over Instagram now.
yeah,
Instagram, they changed everything. They're kind of like,
I actually like it now more like now that they've made the changes and stuff. Like it's
oh,
actually more lucrative now to make
hmm.
money off of Instagram. So like just because now they have a lot of ways that you can intersect the shopping stuff. So
Oh
now it
yeah,
makes sense to me. Like,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
before then, I'm just like that's not where my money resides. Like most of my clients come from Twitter or live events.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right. Well, I was just bringing up the TikTok thing because I don't want you to, go to your next 10 interviews and you're like, man, I wish I would have got on TikTok earlier because, like, you know what I mean? But yeah,
Mhm. I'm gonna
TikTok.
get on. It's gonna happen. My sister actually coaches my clients for
No. See, there she go. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, cool, cool. Well, go ahead. Speaking of branding, go ahead and brand yourself. Let the audience know where they can follow you and reach out.
Yeah, you can follow me across all platforms except for TikTok at Tirzah Monee. Tirzahmonee. And then Yes Honey Collective on Instagram, Yes Honey Co on Twitter.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming up here on the Zoom chat today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. You guys heard it here. This is the Misguided Podcast. We intend to guide you to a better future. My name is Juwan. I'm sitting here with Tirzah Monee, international brand strategist. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.